If you want to carry a load or pull a trailer, you buy a ute. Or if you're in the know, you can buy a light truck like the one behind me for a similar amount of money, and you can actually drive it with a car license. The catch is it has to have a total GVM of 4.5 tons or under, which this one does. GVM stands for gross vehicle mass, which is the total permissible weight of the vehicle, bull bar, occupants, anything else you've added, and anything you've got in the tray. This also has a GCM of 9 tons, which is a hell of a lot more than you're gonna get out of a dual cab ute. That includes the weight of whatever it's pulling, plus the weight of the vehicle, your load in the back, your occupants and any accessories. What that means is that you can tow up to 4.5 tons with this, and you can still carry a full 1.7 ton load in the tray. To see how a truck stacks up against a ute, we've come to Holden's former testing ground at Lang Lang in Victoria. Will the truck prove to be the better option, or will the humble ute come out on top? As a baseline, we took a Hilux out onto the test track to get our bearings and establish what a ute feels like with a load and a trailer. So we spoke about GVM and GCM for the N-Series truck, but how does a dual cab ute stack up on paper? Well, most utes and 4x4 wagons have a GVM of around 3 to 3.5 tons, while the GCM typically comes in at around 6 tons, way down on what a light duty truck can offer. Pulling a 2.5 ton trailer with a few hundred kilograms in the tray, this Hilux is doing it, but it isn't that pleasant to drive. That's where trucks come in. Well, we've just had a little punt around in that Hilux beside us, fully loaded in the tray and with a pretty big trailer behind it. Obviously it felt like a dual cab ute at its limit. We're about to drive the N-Series right now with the same 2.5 ton trailer behind it, but it's also got over a ton in the tray, so it's carrying an extra ton total. Let's see how it goes. First thing you notice in a light truck as opposed to a ute is this has got a 5.2 litre engine. So it's like an ox pulling a carriage rather than a racehorse. It's not working as hard and it's definitely happy to lug. So for those of you thinking, why not get an F truck or a Ram or a Silverado? The 1500 series American trucks you can drive on a car license can tow 4 or 4.5 ton. But the 1500 actually denotes their total payload in pounds, which is about 700 kilos. I don't have a calculator on me, but it's well short of the 1.7 ton you can put in the back of a little truck like this. It's all about choosing a vehicle suited to your needs. So if you've told the tax man, like so many of us have, that you're using your work vehicle 100% of the time for work duties, you probably should be in a light duty truck. However, if you plan on dropping the kids to school, going through the Macca's drive-through or doing your shopping, maybe a truck this big isn't quite the right answer. For tradies though that run around most of the time fully loaded and with a trailer, like a bit of earth moving equipment for example, behind your truck, these make a lot of sense. It's worth remembering, and you can probably tell, I'm sitting over the wheel. It feels a bit like I'm driving a bus. So it's definitely not the upright car-like driving position you get in a dual cab ute, but for that, and with that driving position, you also get insane visibility being a cab over truck. I can see right down to the ground through that windscreen. I can see all the way around me. You've got big truck mirrors. You've got a blind spot mirror. Visibility is really no issue whatsoever in these. I can tell what my trailer's doing, and being a long wheelbase, it tracks really straight as well. The last thing I'll touch on in terms of driving impressions is the fact that while there are independent front suspension light duty trucks, this is a solid axle option. So you're sitting right over the top of the axle and you do feel quite a bit. I mean, this is not as comfortable as a car, and you go over some bumpy roads, you do feel it. But ultimately, if this is a work vehicle, that shouldn't matter. As long as you're under 80 years old and you're pretty fit, it'll be fine. So is a light duty truck the right vehicle for you or your fleet? It all comes down to your day-to-day needs and your application. But my guess is that a lot of dual cab owners would do a fair few less trips if they owned a light duty truck.